Hello everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to go over a subject that's been largely debated for a great many years now. I'm going to interject my opinion on this subject. I may get some backlash from this because I feel fairly strongly about my opinion, and I believe that it has good logic and good logical reasoning. Today we're going to be talking about hammer form, hammer control, and the right length or the right grip on a hammer handle. Stay tuned. Alright folks, before we get started on proper hammer form and control of that hammer, we need to talk a little bit about the hammer itself. I'm not going to take too long. I was suggested to forge more and talk less in another video of mine, which I kindly replied that that won't be possible. It's just not who I am. But essentially, if you don't understand the theory of the reason why a hammer has a handle in the first place, you are not going to understand the correct hammer form to use in which you work. So I'd like to pose a theory to you all for a minute, and everybody can contradict me if I'm wrong on this. That's perfectly okay. But I see a lot of people gripping their handles right up here near the head of the hammer. There's two reasons for this. One, it's too big of a hammer for them to be swinging in the first place one-handed, so they feel the need to choke up. Reason number two, you are not practiced enough in the particular operation that you are doing, so therefore you do not feel comfortable enough to accurately place a hammer blow in the correct position and in the right orientation with every stroke. So therefore you feel like you're a little more accurate if you're up a little closer and hitting with the hammer. Both those reasons contribute to people choking up on the hammer handles. Everybody will say, well, I prefer a longer handle, or I prefer a shorter handle, or this or that, or what have you. And everybody can have their own opinions and forging styles. But I will argue the point logically that the reason why a hammer has a handle entirely, in its entirety, is for two purposes. Okay? The first of which our ancestors learned over a millennia ago, that if you swing a weight from a fulcrum, you develop more energy. As you increase the weight from the fulcrum, you develop even more energy or force or applied pressure. I don't think that that's arguable. Okay? Secondly, my second point that I'm going to make on my little rant here, I try not to rant, but it bugs me when I see guys getting this wrong. If you are one of the people that would like to take and argue the fact that the hammer handle is for balance and you can hold it to wherever you like, I would like for you to saw off your hammer handle and grip it right by the head. And I want you to smith. And you show me a guy in 8 to 10 years that will still be smithing like this. And, well, I'll take all my words back. 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, I am almost guarantee you that if you smith like this, you are going to subject your body to more unnecessary shock, which is going to wear out your wrists, your elbow joints, give you tendinitis and carpal tunnel, which I already have, which I believe this makes me fairly much an authority on this subject. Now that's going to sound like a real bad statement, but since I already have carpal tunnel and I have a case of tendinitis right now, if I do anything that applies shock through my body, I feel it almost instantly. So if you're a perfectly healthy individual with no problems whatsoever, maybe you're a young man, maybe you're 18, maybe you're 20 years old, or the like, you know, or maybe even younger than that. Your body's feeling all good right now. You're picking up large weighted hammers. You're smithing these big, large chunks of steel that you should never have been smithing in the first place, one-handed or single-handedly. You're going to do like I did in my earlier blacksmithing career, which is wear out my wrists. So, I've been doing this now for 9 years. I'm actually coming up on my 10th year anniversary of forging. 6 years of that has been full-time professionally as a smith. I used to think the bigger the hammer the better, but I have been proven wrong. So I hope this will be a warning to everybody for that. So enough of that rant. The point with the shock and the energy and the kinetic energy that's coming up through the hammer head itself when you whack your material. I'll make my second point now. My second point is, why do you think hammers have handles in the first place? Never mind the fact from the fulcrum point you get more energy. Forget that. We don't need to apply physics here. Why don't we just grip these hammers like this? It's a hell of a lot easier than having to punch a hole through a chunk of steel. And let's just beat the crap out of our stock that way, shall we? Let's let that one sink in. Is that long enough? Okay. So hopefully this is going to help some folks off. I know help some folks out. Other folks, it won't help at all. That I'll just get a bunch of hate, and that's okay. Now, I will go into something that is debatable. How long of a handle should you have? Well, my answer to that is, how accurately can you swing that hammer? The longer the handle, the better, in my opinion. So, I like to hold my hammers clear out here. And you say, golly, that's really far out there. It is if you don't know how to drive a nail. You'll never see a carpenter driving a nail with his hand up here. He'll drive it out here. I suggest that for practice. That's me being honest. It's not me trying to be mean. It's if you have not developed the hammer control to where you can swing the hammer from which that you're supposed to swing it, which end you're supposed to swing it, then you need to practice driving nails with a claw hammer. This will help you improve your accuracy without damaging your most important asset, which is your anvil. So enough about that. The reason why we don't have this, and the reason why we don't hold it like this, is because of kinetic energy. That is why we have a wooden handle into a hammer head. Now there's probably a bunch of other reasons, like, I don't know, not having your knuckles near hot steel. That might be one good reason. Another good reason might have developed from using top tools and having a sledgehammer come nearly close to breaking your wrist. That might be another reason. They started figuring out that, hey, having my hands a little further away is a much better idea. Who knows? We weren't there over a millennia ago, or however you want, 2,000, 6,000, 12,000 years, whatever you want to say for whenever smithing started. But it is key, absolutely important. I can't stress this enough for a beginner in the field to take care of your body first and foremost. I know guys that are in their 80s, old men, that they spent 20 years or 30 years as a blacksmith that don't have use of their hands now, that don't have full use of different bodily parts in their 60s, even 70s and 80s. They're lucky that they're alive, but they have pain now. They can't swing the hammers like they used to. They can't do the craft that they loved. Something very important for everybody to take into effect, especially if you're going to start swinging a hammer full time, 8 hours a day. It adds up. So that's my take on hammer handles. you will see a whole gamut. When I forge, I will grip in various different places. And yes, I'll even hold up here. But what I'm doing in this moment is I'm using my hammer to push something, less not strike something. Reason for that being is I do not want to develop the shock through my body, which I feel and I writhe in pain at night about. Let it be a lesson to you. Hammer handles absorb shock from the concussive energy of the blow. Alright, without further ado on that, I'm going to back the camera up. I will take a picture, in the next clip, I will get a clip of me standing here in what is the correct hammer form to be swinging your hammer. And then to prove that I'm not completely out of my mind and off base and off my rockers, I am going to take a 1-inch piece, or I'm going to take a bar that's 1 inch round, and I am going to forge it with this 3-pound hammer with a 14-inch length handle, and I want you to see the difference. I'm going to forge it on the flat, and it's just going to be me, no striker. And we'll take the 2 principles that I'm teaching here today, the theory on the hammer itself and the proper hammer control and form, and we're putting them together, and I will show you the result. So thanks for listening to this first part, which was kind of a rant. We'll go on to the second clip here, and hopefully I didn't lose too many of you already. Okay, so as you can tell, I'm a fairly husky guy. That shouldn't deter anybody who is, that is thinner than I am or heavier set than I am, taller, shorter, doesn't matter. This hammer form applies the same for anyone. I don't care what your build is. So, I'm going to get a piece of stock here, just as an illustration. The proper way to stand at an anvil is not here. This isn't how you stand at an anvil. It's not over here. This is not how you stand at an anvil. You stand at an anvil with your hammer leg, I call it, or whichever, if you're right-handed for your swinging of your hammer hand, it goes forward towards the anvil. If you're left-handed, your left leg goes forward to the anvil. I swing my hammers right-handed, although I write with my left hand, but that's a whole other story. I'm goofy like that. My right leg goes forward, the bar stock goes in your left hand, and it comes past this direction. You are standing at roughly about a 45-degree angle to the anvil. Just like so. So when you work, you're coming down like so. Now, people will tell you, or instructors will tell you, to stand as close to the anvil as you can or as possible. Well, that works fine if you're using a little short hammer grip. We're not doing that. We're going to use the hammer like it's intended, so we don't need to be that close to the anvil. You need to be wherever it's comfortable for you to be able to get a full swing of a hammer blow. Like so. So, that is the correct hammer form. This is one of those things that I don't believe is very much debatable in like the last 2,000 years. You're not going to reinvent the wheel on this. Our forefathers have been figuring this out long before us. I'm sure it was debated here and there, but ultimately it plays out. A good posture, a straight up stance, relaxed elbow, light grip on the material, just enough to stop it from bouncing around, and a full hammer swing. Blow like so. If you notice, I'm reaching and bringing it down. That is the correct hammer form. Talking about grip, some people will say, well, isn't it okay to grab up closer if you got a loose grip? I say no. Still have a loose grip, but back here. You don't have, if you're white knuckling it, if you're having problems with your thumb aching or the inside here aching after a day of swinging a hammer, whether it be a sledgehammer or a regular hand hammer, even if it's 3 or 4 hours, chances are you've got a white knuckle grip on your hammer handle. Or you've grabbed it up here where you're applying all the kinetic energy and shock. So, grab the hammer handle correctly at where it is comfortable for you to grab. Use an upright posture. Pull the hammer handle up and bring it down to the material. Up, down to the material. So, that's about it. There's no magic to it, guys. There's no standing like this. It gives you nothing. There's no standing over here like this. It does nothing for you. It puts your body at mechanical disadvantages. Stand in the correct orientation to the anvil. If you're over to the horn to bend something, you're in the same orientation. If you're over to the tail, well, this one's got a dual horn, same thing. If you're on top of the hardy, same thing. The only time that this is a break from this is when you need to take and punch a piece of material. Other than that, no matter where you go on this anvil, you're going to keep this same hammer form, regardless of wherever you may need to be to make use of the various facets of your anvil. You will keep this same hammer form. If you do that, your body will thank you. So now I'll put this into practice and stop running my mouth. So for everybody who has stuck with me this long, I thank you for listening to my rants. And I really hope that this will take and help the beginners out there. It will challenge the intermediate smiths that maybe think they've done it all right, and maybe they have not. And even some of the advanced smiths, I would love to take and hear their feedback from the guys that have been doing it longer than me. And I'm not talking about the armchair warriors. It's a good way to get yourself blocked. So if you have good, credible information on this subject, I would love to talk to you about it. So now, I will go to a close-up shot. I'm standing upright like I have said. I'm using a 3-pound cross-peen hammer. I'm holding the handle out at the end. And this is going to be in real time, working down 1-inch material. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the last clip. Alrighty everyone, I've got this piece up to heat. The second thing I'd like to suggest to people is the theory of heating up your material to its highest obtainable temperature when you're wanting to draw something out. If you hit cold metal, it don't move. So here we go, 1-inch round. Now, you see this color here? Let's see here. Yeah, on the camera this looks yellow. But out here in real life, this is orange. That in orange, I stop hitting my steel. I go back into the forge. Alright, we're heating it up again. I like to work out my material nice and hot and at an almost welding heat. So, I'm going to bring that back up to temperature again. Oh. One other thing I'd like to suggest and point out to new smiths, even professional smiths like myself, there is no value in getting something done in one heat. It is just a pride measurement point. There's no value in getting it done in this heat or next heat or the next heat after that. The only value that anything has is the final project in the way you feel at the end of the day. These guys, we focus on trying, as young men, we try to focus on saying, hey, you know, I want to take and forge quickly, you know, and I want to grunt this thing out there, and I want to be the best and the strongest. Well, frankly, that's useless to do. Now you'll see me using a technique that you see a lot of times Alex Steele does, Brian Brazil does. It's working out the material very aggressively using the edge of the anvil. That can work very well. If not done right, I'm going to show you what that looks like at the end of this. As you can see, this is a second heat on 1 inch round. That's all you guys should be expecting of yourselves. If it takes you another 2 heats to get this far, you're working 1 inch round, man. Be proud of yourself. It's not about a race. There's no one racing you. No one. You win no trophy by drawing this out quicker than someone else. There are no trophies when it comes to this. The only thing that matters is the way you go home feeling about yourself at the end of the day, the way your body feels, and the way your piece looks, your work looks. So hopefully that demonstration will help you guys out, encourage some of you beginner smiths out there and even intermediate smiths to just, you know, stop the hype, stop the fame, stop the over glamorification of trying to pull out a lot of stock and material in one heat. It's not needed. All that matters is the final product and the way you feel. So anyways, thanks everyone for watching. There'll be a bonus clip here in a second where I will show you where I have developed a cold shut using the technique that's taught by Brian Brazil and Alex Steele incorrectly. Not a dig on them, just specifically a word of caution for new smiths. Thanks for watching. Alrighty, here's the bonus info for the guys that have chose to stick around and listen to my ranting and my advice. You see right there, that's called a cold shut. That will eventually break off in your work later on. You can actually beat this close and think, hey, it's gone. I got it out of the way. But say this was on a tool or a piece of tooling you were using or a scroll, that right there will open up in your work later on. So, I believe this piece is cool enough to the touch. Yep, sure is. So, that right there will end up opening up in your work later on. And trust me, it will make you upset. So as part of this bonus clip, as I had said before, this isn't a dig on Alex Steele. This isn't a dig on Brian Brazil or the method that is used, because they are 100% correct about the reducing the surface area of contact, and using the anvil's edges and taking bites off the steel is a great way of doing that. But a word of caution to you new smiths out there that have not developed enough hammer control yet to put this into practice. This can be a resulting failure that some of you may or may not be getting. And when you get a failure like this, it's really frustrating. And without understanding what you've done or what you've done wrong, it gets real frustrating. Like, why do my pieces keep breaking? Why do the hooks that I make snap? Why does the twists that I do open up all of a sudden? This could be your culprit. So, this is just a little bonus segment here of info. I challenge you to critically think about this in your work. I would say even with beginning smiths that it might not be wise to use the edges of your anvils at first to move the material. Practice your hammer control first so stuff like this doesn't happen. It only takes a second of not paying attention and you work that shut, work that lap under, keep working on your work, and later on just something just cracks right in two and falls off. So, be very careful using that method. It's a great method. I won't lie. It is a great method at really reducing the amount of stock. As you can see, I was meeting quite a bit of resistance working on the flat of the anvil. It's more surface area of contact. That means it takes more pounds per square inch of hitting energy there to take and reduce the material size. It takes more force the broader the surface area. So, in my anvil, I like to use a fuller tool, a bottom fuller tool, and then hammer down on that. Also, if you have an anvil that has a much more rounded edge, you will probably have less problems with this right here. I'll get to that, my theory on anvils, in a later video at some point in time. Of course, it's like anything. Everybody has an opinion on something. I appreciate you all sticking around and listening to my opinions on things. Thank you all for watching this video. And if you liked it, you can give me that thumbs up. If you disliked it, well, you've probably already hit the thumbs down by now. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think. I'm okay with being told I'm wrong. I just would say if you're going to tell me that I'm wrong about the subjects that I've discussed here today, please prove it to us all. So anyways, thank you guys. Thank you to all my loyal subscribers. I appreciate you all so much. God bless you all, and have a great day.